You keep it quiet, we say it loud. The things you hide, we're calling out. Double lies and blurred lines, love that cuts, truth that bites. Sex, secrets, and a little sass. Nothing stays buried when you drop the mask. We're the Gen Sexers, no shame, no filter. Just the truth, but hotter.
Hello, hello. We're back. The Gen Sexers of Sex, Secrets, and Sass. I'm Angie.
And I'm Chrissy. And we have a new guest today. We have Alanna Esquejo, couples therapist in the Bay Area. That's California, for those of you who don't know. And we're so excited to have you here, Alanna. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're located, and who you see in your practice?
Yeah, so I'm located in California. I am an LMFT here, licensed since 2024. I primarily see couples. I focus on working with BIPOC and interracial couples, with like a sub niche in like interpolitical couples and those with ADHD.
All right. And do you see couples virtually, in person, both?
Both. Yeah, I'll see couples both. I kind of work through an intensive model, so a kind of a standard of 90-minute sessions. As people are with me longer, we can reduce on time and frequency as they progress towards their goals.
And you are a licensed marriage and family therapist. Yes, licensed in the state of California. Licensed anywhere else?
No, just in
Okay.
California. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So you say you mainly see couples.
Yes.
What compelled you to want to work with couples more than maybe working with individual systems?
Yeah. So I always look at everything from a relational lens. Like, it always comes back to how are their dynamics from their family of origin and how are they showing up in their relationship now because of those things. I love having more people in the room because then you're working with the whole dynamic and having a better impact on the relational dynamics with being able to kind of guide and, educate them on the dynamics from, attachment to then patterns of communication and conflict resolution. And so when you just have one, that gets a little harder. You don't have as much of an
Absolutely.
impact to change the sort of cycle that they're in.
That is
I'm
so
going to
true.
jump in with like a big question here. I'm just going to jump in with, how many couples do you see that they come in with, we just want to have better sex, or our sex life is the problem? How often do you see that?
You know what? Not as often as I thought I would. Like, I thought everybody would just be like, that's the first thing, right? But people are very quiet about this aspect of their life, whether that's because of, religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, societal, systems that then say, what do we talk about and what do we not talk about? So even when I've been with people for a while, the topic is hard to broach.
So interesting. As a licensed marriage and family therapist, what are your particular views on talking about this? I know that here in the United States, it's still somewhat, especially where I am in the middle of the country, you don't talk about sex. So that just seems odd to me that even going to a couples therapist, they still would be reticent
Yeah.
to discuss that. How do you bring that up with them?
I have a sort of directive approach, so I kind of just straight out ask, but not everybody wants to answer it or deep dive into these areas as quickly as others. But it's definitely something that has to be talked about. That's part of couples' work, is how is their sex life, the frequency, the desire discrepancy, like what is going on in that part of their relationship that then maybe is also being mirrored in other parts of their relationship too. A lot of silence around what our needs are overall. It's not just around sexual needs. It's what are our needs as far as our emotional needs, our mental needs, the support that we need from our partner, that sometimes in our family of origin, those needs were not things that we could talk about. And if they were talked about, they were maybe shut down. And so then building that safety to talk about these other things in different ways then builds the safety to talk about what's missing intimately for physical intimacy.
Can you give some examples of what that might look like, in certain needs not being vocalized?
Yeah. There could be just like emotional needs not being met. A lot of people, like, they're saying, like, I don't feel emotionally connected. I don't feel attuned to that. Their partner isn't coming to them with curiosity. Their partner isn't exploring or allowing them to take up space for their emotional or mental needs. They maybe feel like they can't ask for support as far as like financial or maybe parental responsibilities. And so some of those things show up in the room too, that like, how do I ask for this support to get my sexual needs met if I can't ask you for these other things? And so it's kind of this negative confirmation bias of like, oh, I can't even ask you for these other things. How can I possibly ask you for more in these
Right.
other areas of our life?
Yeah. So when you have I'm sorry, go ahead, Angie.
No, we're just so like,
I know. Tell me more. Tell me more. Well, I'm curious, as maybe you're about to see a new couple, right? And you've given them some paperwork, some intake paperwork. Are there specific questions on that paperwork about their sex life? Or do you wait to talk about that in person or,
Yeah.
live in session first?
It's a little bit of both. There are some questions of like, how satisfied are they in the frequency of their sexual interactions, or how often are they having sex? I also use Gottman. So there's some, assessment questions around there that even touches on maybe some of the trauma that they've experienced and their sexual life now. So that gives me a lot of context prior to going into the session. I also review their ACEs, so anything pertaining to childhood experiences that might be impacting how they interact with each other, not just in the relationship, but also intimately.
And can you
you-
explain to our listeners what an ACE is?
Okay, yeah.
Just for our listeners.
Adverse childhood experiences. That just kind of is a general questionnaire and assessment of like what they've experienced that were adverse in their childhood, pertaining to like any abuse that they've experienced, abuse of parents that they witnessed, absent parents, incarcerated parents, things like that.
So traumas, right? Traumas, big T
Yeah.
and little t, just traumas. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So do you find a correlation between a higher ACE score and problems in the bedroom?
There is a similarity in higher ACE scores and then in silence around that. How do we actually get our needs met, and is this safe to do so? A lot of then building of trust in their relationship that needs to happen, of like, how do I trust this person? And they can only, as children, we're only able to mirror what we've been shown, right? So
Right.
if they've never been shown the right way to handle conflicts, communicate about emotions, that's 100% going to show up in the relationship now, and especially in the bedroom.
Yeah. I imagine that you do a lot of mirroring for your clients about how to talk about sex, right? Like normalizing the topic within your sessions so that they maybe feel more comfortable talking about it. Have you noticed how that your willingness to talk about it and normalizing it, how that affects their ability?
It does help in the room. It doesn't always translate then to home until they build the skill of like, this is safe to talk about some of these topics. So once they start to build that confidence to, okay, we can actually break the silence and open up the discussion around these topics and nothing detrimental happens, right? We can have a partner that's curious with us, that is accepting of us, and it builds that confidence to then maybe approach other harder topics. But it has to start somewhere. There has to be like a baseline.
What's your number one go-to in helping your clients build that safety, that trust? I'm sure you have many.
Yeah. Oh my God. Emotion. Yeah. I always lean on the emotion wheel, because I do feel like as a society, we don't talk about emotions enough. I think that we have the primary emotions and we often go straight to anger, like in expressing when things are feeling uncomfortable. And I think giving them something tangible to look at and identify, like, what else could this be? Maybe I wasn't shown by my parents how to identify this particular emotion. And so I don't even know how to talk about it. So again, the silence comes up there too with this emotional intimacy that I can't even really talk about this, even in the discomfort or even in the positive things. Sometimes it's really hard for people to get to a positive place about how they're feeling sexually. It's are unable to talk about how they're feeling positively in the relationship.
And
Yeah.
what is the emotion wheel?
The emotion wheel. Oh,
I
goodness.
love emotion wheel.
I know. I'm like, everybody needs to have it. Everybody needs to know it. Like, read it every day. But it's at the center, it has your primary emotion. That's typically like a colorful chart, has your primary emotions like anger, sadness, happy, disgust, fear. If you think of Inside Out as a movie.
Universal.
Yes.
Recognize those facial expressions.
Yes.
Yes.
And we start off with primarily we just have, the first three is just like happy, sad, anger. Like, and those are the first emotions that come out in that movie. And so it's something that it's like, okay, these other things get introduced, like a fear, disgust, surprise. And so how do we then identify those things if we maybe don't have parents who are emotionally mature to teach us that, to model it for us? And then we bring those learnings or unlearnings from our family of origin into our new relationships. And if we're like, what is wrong? Like, how come we can't identify these things or communicate in a healthy way? It's, well, you were never taught. And so I think that giving them this tangible thing to then identify an emotion that they're like, oh, I'm angry about this. I'm like, well, what else is it? Like, let's dive a little deeper of what else could it be. And then they're able to feel a little bit more connected with the emotions that they're even having with themselves. And then their partner is then able to really understand from a different perspective of like, you're not just angry, you're maybe feeling skeptical or just distant in this moment. And how do we kind of bridge that gap and connect?
Yeah.
Alanna, you're so right in that we don't talk about feelings. I've got a number of clients who say, I don't even know what I'm feeling. So how
Mhm.
can I
Yeah.
express what I'm feeling? The faces that you use with kids
Yeah. This is mine.
sounds
I got it
similar.
right here.
Yep. See how I
Beautiful.
love that. I think that's the same one I use, Alanna.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will put a link to an emotion wheel in
I-
the description for this
Yes.
podcast episode so people can
Yeah.
see also
I've
what it
made it known.
is.
Yeah, they can
Yeah.
get it printed out and start working
Yeah.
with it themselves. Yeah.
Because sometimes having the vocabulary, right? Just having
Yeah.
the right word
Yes.
to describe, right? Sometimes you're like, I'm angry, but it's not just anger, right? It's something else. And then you can kind of look at the wheel and like, I'm actually resentful,
Yeah.
right? In this moment. Oh, I'm resentful
Yes.
of something. And then you can actually talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That has so much more meaning.
Or I feel embarrassed, or I feel like just insecure in this moment. And it's like not really anger. Like that brings a different connotation to your partner that they're able to associate that word. Like the human language is like so diverse. So it's like when we really identify the actual emotion that we're having, then our partner can then understand it in a different way and not feel that defensiveness automatically towards anger. But when you say I'm feeling insecure, that brings a whole new perspective and a gentleness that your partner can approach this in a different way rather than meeting it with anger as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that age old question of does language shape our experiences or do our experience shape language? Like I'm always fascinated by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just sounds like if you have other words to describe how you're feeling, if I say I'm angry, my partner might get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
I say I'm insecure or embarrassed or just frustrated, or they're going to be more apt to respond
Yeah.
in
Right.
a connecting way versus a defensive.
Yeah. Cause then like to your point, Chrissy, like a lot of our experience shape how we perceive these words. So
Yeah.
if in your family of origin, anger was something that made you shut down and retreat,
100%.
That's not going to be something that your partner, bringing this to you, even in the most gentle way, is going to make you retreat. And so if we bring in a different word, could it allow you to then meet them where they're at, sort of attune to their emotions and tend to them in this moment that isn't then distancing? It then creates isolation, and then you're isolated in so many other ways, emotionally, mentally, and then physically. How do you engage in sex and intimacy in a physical way if you're retreating physically?
Yeah, I'm curious, have you found the emotion wheel helpful in helping clients talk about sex even?
I haven't really experienced it in that way because I'm not in their room with them, but I know
That would be interesting.
right? But I know that their sex life has improved when they are able to talk about their emotions a little bit more clearly. There isn't this silence and then denial of their experience that then, if you have this denial, it is always going to birth isolation. It's always that's the trajectory of it. But then when you're able to talk about these things more openly, it opens up the conversations for other topics. And then their sex life improves because then they're feeling the improvement in their emotional and mental intimacy.
Yeah.
Gratifying is it for you to witness the evolution of a deeper connection that your couples gain from therapy and understanding themselves and each other
Yeah.
better?
Oh,
I can
it lights me up. I'm so passionate about couples work. I love providing this other perspective that then heals and restores not only the relationship but even their perspective on their past, their childhood, their family of origin, that it's oh my gosh, this is eye-opening to why I am the way that I am and why I'm approaching this relationship in this way. It makes it less, I guess, personal towards them of, this is just who I am. It gives them some basis of now I understand myself in a deeper way. I'm able to understand my partner in a deeper way, and we're able to discuss it now. It's not just hidden in the crevices of our mind that this is our experience and
Right.
why we're feeling this way.
You mentioned Gottman as one modality that you use with your couples. Are there others that you use as well? Or are you strictly a Gottman?
I'm not strictly Gottman. I kind of dabble in all of the things. Obviously EFT is a big piece of what I use as well.
That's emotionally focused therapy for those
Emotionally
listening that don't
focused,
know what
yeah.
that is.
Yes. And then also just the narratives that we've created from our family of origins, the narratives that we want to create now, how do we shape those and rewrite the narratives that we have cycling in our minds that, okay, it doesn't have to be that way. It can actually have new outcomes, new experiences by changing these cycles that are not beneficial to us anymore. I think a lot of our experiences, even from our childhood, and they really shape how, okay, this is then what we're going to experience always. And that's not true. We have an ability to then change not only how our partner experiences us, but how we experience ourselves as well.
I'm curious. I mean, we have secrets in the title of our podcast.
We sure do.
Do you come across, when you're working with couples, secrets that come out?
Yes.
Or do you know that one might, I know some couples therapists, they meet with a couple the first time, then they meet with each individual consecutively, and then meet with the couple again. And there is this, and you probably know this, there's this difference, on one camp, it's, I don't keep secrets. In the other camp, the therapist keeps the secrets, which I'm like,
Not me.
I don't work with couples, but,
Challenging.
yeah. So tell us more about what that's like working with couples when secrets are now out in the open.
Yeah. I haven't had too much of the maybe infidelity or betrayal come out like in second session, like people are pretty upfront with that. They've either say it on the intake call and I tell them straight up, I'm not holding this for you. I know you can start the process, but we have to discuss how you're going to communicate this. We can't stay silent about it because that's why you're coming to therapy. So your relationship's not doing well, but there's also this other aspect of it that's creating this dysfunctional dynamic. You're being holding the secret, being silent about this experience and what you've done to cope with it. And so usually they don't continue, right? You're confronting them with this thing that they have to face and they may not be ready to do that or they don't want to just outright. Other times they just come and they know the infidelity is occurring. And so we kind of just jump straight into like infidelity recovery and how does that work? I haven't had any like really deep secrets that have come out, but overall, like some things that then get revealed later as far as like maybe substance use
I was
or
thinking gambling maybe,
yeah,
or my gosh, it's now
other
out
addictions.
that I've been using retail therapy and
Ugh.
I've wrapped up a credit card in my name kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so things that they even financial, like yeah, that they just have not discussed. And so then it starts to then be revealed. You work on certain areas and things are improving. And so it magnifies these other areas that they've been largely silent about in their relationship. So kind of a secret, right? I'm withholding you that this is a stressor for me. I'm coping in this other way by leaning on substances or it's taking away from our family with our gambling, etc. That it's like, oh, okay, we have to actually talk about it. So there are often secrets from me that the couple doesn't reveal because they've learned for so long, like, oh, this is just part of our dynamic. But then as they work on things, they're like, wait, this is not a healthy part of our dynamics. We have to actually talk about this.
Yeah.
So it's even a secret to you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because it's not a problem yet, usually, right? Like even substance use, like say alcohol use, it's so common, you know, in our society. But then it's like, oh, this is actually impacting how we communicate or how we communicate within our family. And we're not actually talking about this as the problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How often do couples come to you, Alanna, with my husband or my wife or my partner has had an affair and we want to work through it? How often is that the presenting problem at first?
Quite a few. Yeah. I think that they often do want to work on the relationship and it's not automatically we're done. So there is this desire. It's not like, oh, this is a last ditch effort to then just say we did it and we're done. They typically do get invested in the process and want to heal from it, but sometimes the damage is too hard to recover from.
Right.
Or if there's a lack of responsibility taken, it's hard
Right.
to get past.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere the research shows that most couples where there is infidelity actually do stay together. It's a smaller percentage of people who break up over infidelity versus who stay together. Now, that doesn't mean they're staying together and it's a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
but
For the
I found that
kids.
an interesting statistic. Yeah, for the
Yeah.
kids or
Yeah.
financial reasons or whatever
Yes.
the reasons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It confronts them with then, okay, like what else is this impacting? If I leave here, then what does my life look like? Or what do I then have to face on my own that I'm not quite ready to face? And so sometimes even the injured partner could just be not ready to move on. They don't feel the confidence to move on. They do have a lot of love that existed within the relationship, but then it's just been fractured by this experience.
Do you, kind of shifting gears a little bit here, but do you see any polyamorous relationships in your practice?
I would love to see a polyamorous couple. I have not experienced that yet, but I've had couples who will have wanted to explore and even individuals that are open to having open relationships. And so we talk a lot about then, okay, well, how do we then approach this topic with your partner? Because they don't talk about it oftentimes.
Right.
Especially if they're in a monogamous relationship, then it's like, oh, like, I don't know if they would be okay with that. I was like, well, did you ask?
Right.
Did you just curiously, hey, what would you think about this? It doesn't have to be that this is what you're doing now, but opening up the dialogue of maybe you don't know something about your partner that they could now feel comfortable having this discussion with you. And maybe they would be open to that as well.
It's interesting. I'm reading Esther Perel's The State of Affairs right now. She talked about you can be in a very happy, loving marriage, and then one person chooses to step out, and the couple did stay together. They realized they weren't asking each other and talking to each other. Like what you said, Alanna, it comes a lot from their family of origin and what they grew up with. And so they were looking at each other in ways that weren't communicated to each other. And when the cheating was found out, they worked through it. It was a sensual massage that one of them was engaging in. Now they both go and get sensual massages and find
It's
it
awesome.
turn on for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, usually when you assume negative leaning. So until you open up the dialogue and
Yes.
talk about the things, like break that silence, then you're able to then find out more information and like, oh, okay, like this could be a new relational agreement that we have now that we've discussed it. And that's the consensual part. Like even in mixed relationships, there's relational agreements, whether it's assumed or, discussed. And if you break some of those, even if they're the assumed ones, it feels like a betrayal. But if you talk about it, then there's a little bit of a reduction in that feeling of betrayal because like we now have this new agreement and we're okay with this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm also thinking of what are the differences between, let's say, white American couples talking about sex and sexuality versus BIPOC couples or interracial couples? Do you or have you seen a difference in what those differences might be? Like I think as a white woman myself, I feel like we as white people are so uptight about talking about sex in general. We have very puritanistic culture and
Gen Xers.
unless you're Gen Xers like we love talking about sex. So
Yeah.
maybe we're one of the minority. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what are your
I
thoughts on
have
that?
not seen a great difference in comfortability with talking about it. I think that there still is like kind of the
Interesting.
same themes of what did you experience in your family of origin and what is the silence and secrets around some of these things? Or, if there's more of a difference male to female perspective, like more males are more prone to then be more open to talk about their sexuality than women are.
Yeah.
Desire,
Yeah.
I was going
right?
to
I
ask, do you
see that.
see any same people?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do talk about
Sorry, I
more
think,
openly when
yeah.
there's a difference of safety. Yeah. That we are similar in our
Sorry,
experience.
I think there's a
Yeah, I think with Alana's internet maybe lagging behind a little bit.
Alanna, what is one thing our listeners could take away that would help them communicate with their partner? Like they're thinking, oh, I'm going to try that tonight.
Curiosity. Post things curiously. Like, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on, etc.? Like just posing it as a question to be open to whatever response that it's then, okay, we're kind of investigating this together. We're collaborating on this of like let's, be detectives in this of like what would be good for us. What parts
Yeah, I love
do you
that.
like? What do you not like? And not taking it so personally. It's just then we're just coming to it with questions and more questions, getting curious about each other's inner workings.
Right. And that's easier said than done as far as taking it personally, right? We all
Sure.
have our own inner stories, our own narratives. So taking things personally, it's kind of what we do, right?
Yeah.
And I think approaching things with curiosity opens things up to not take it as personal, right? Because you're
Yes.
just asking curious questions. So you're coming from this place of self. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So if there are couples out there in California that want to learn more about you and how you work and maybe want a consultation, what are ways that they can find you? Other than the links we're going to put in the bio here for this episode.
My website is the easiest way to find me. It's Therapy with Alanna, 1L, 2N's. Therapy with Alanna. And yeah, just you could book a free consultation there, kind of explore the website and see my approaches and what I'm about, a little bit about me there too. You can read up on my experience and my family life.
I love that. Yeah, and I know people, Alanna, she is booked.
I know.
She is a very much requested therapist, couples therapist in California. So if you want to get on a wait list.
I have trouble saying no just because I love
Put that out there. We might delete that part.
I know. Cut that part out. But yeah, I just love this work. And so you can be put on my wait list.
Wow. Is there a time frame that people usually stay with you? Like, is it, 3 months, a year, 6, like?
So I do have some people who like transition, like whether they're graduating or moving. So I do know there's some anticipated spots coming up because I'm not licensed anywhere else. But for right now, openings I have are for intensives, which is like a 2 to 3 day experience to deep dive into the relational dynamics and what's, challenging the couple, but then equipping them to then, okay, we can do this on our own with the skills that we've built in this experience.
Wow. Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for those couples that are not in California, is there or are there resources that you would recommend, either books or videos or whatever resources?
So many.
Yeah.
I love podcasts, so like I'll always like lean on some podcasts or audiobooks are really good. One that I've liked recently that is kind of touching on a lot of the topics we've talked about today, which is around silence and intimacy and isolation, is Healing Together by Wayne Kritzberg. It's a really old book, but it's a gem. I'm like, this is just it talks about the dysfunctional cycles and then brings it back to like, how did we create healthy dynamics and really solid ways to do that for couples. And it's a really short read. It's super small. So if people are like, oh, I can't get through a long book or I don't want to read, it's a short one.
Spans are very short nowadays. So yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Well, we like to keep our podcast to 35 minutes ish because I think as Gen Xers, we also don't have the longest attention span.
Yeah. And people want, real concrete examples quick. And this book kind of gives you that and some kind of, I guess exercises that you can lean on.
We'll put that in the link as well. So awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alanna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And happy orgasming, everybody.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.